name is Daniel Silva. I'm the president and CEO of the Rio Grande Valley Partnership. Want to say welcome. I want to say thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to moderate this panel. I think it's a really, really important one. Actually, all of the panels have tremendous value for small business in the South Texas region. So I really thank the governor's office for putting this together. This panel is discussing resources for minority-owned businesses. And when Brian reached out to me and asked who would be good panelists, I realized we have a lot. The Valley has a lot of really great resources that we need for small businesses to become more aware of. So today we're privileged to have three, and I'm going to have them do personal introductions. But the first, the closest to me, we have Marcus Villagran. He's the business advisor, Veteran Business Outreach Center with UTRGV. We have Linda Ufland, the director of Entrepreneurship, Innovation, and Commercialization with the Entrepreneurship and Commercialization Center with UTRGV. And Teclo Garcia, the Chief Executive Officer with Mission Economic Development Corporation. So I'll go ahead and open it up with giving the opportunity to give a small introduction. Marcus, you can stop.
All right, I'll go ahead and kick off the show here. All right, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for welcoming us here this morning. First off, it feels kind of weird introducing myself sitting down. I think I'm going to go ahead and stand up. I think it's more appropriate. All right, so my name is Marcus Villagran. I'm with the UTRGV Veterans Business Outreach Center, one of the many SBA resource partners you all have available. Before I go into introductions, who here knows of or was aware of small business resources that are provided to you, the community, and veterans, and of course the women community as well, at no cost? Okay. So there's a few hands here and there, so that's kind of my plug to kind of give light to everybody else, right? So I work for one of the many SBA resource partners you all have available, okay? I'm with the UTRGV Veterans Business Outreach Center, and the way we assist the community members, specifically our veteran demographic, is we provide entrepreneurial training, okay? We also do counseling and connecting with lenders, okay? Backing up to the introduction about myself, well, jumping spearhead like right into the program. My name is Marcus Villagran. I've spent roughly 6 years in the military, right? So coming back from an Army background, so those of you Army out there, hua, right? There you go. All right. Thank you. Former line medic, right? So former line medic, spent some time in the field artillery. I knew as soon as I left the service, I wanted to give back in some way, shape, or form. So here I am today, okay? So one other thing I will say is, I guess the old saying goes that when you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your lifetime, right? Well, that's not true. The veterans have kept me on my toes 5 o'clock in the morning every day. No, but in all honesty, I love what I do, and I love helping out the veterans. They're very passionate, they're very driven, and it's an honor to serve as a business advisor and speak the same lingo and language, and references when we're working on these counselings. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Linda here. Thank you all.
Thank you, Marcus. As you can see, we have a lot of fun at UTRGV Economic Development. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for being here. My name is Linda Ufland. I am the Director of Entrepreneurship, Innovation, and Commercialization. I know, it's long. Our focus, we work together with our partners at BBOC. Our focus is primarily to focus in providing support for our entrepreneurship community around the region. We focus on business incubation, business acceleration, entrepreneurial development, and so forth and so forth. We are one of very, very important centers at the Office of Economic and Workforce Development at UTRGV. Very proud to be part of that. And we are an ecosystem. We are a powerhouse that provides quite a bit of services to support existing small businesses, startups, and to continue being resilient and continue having sustainability as a small business. We understand that that is the core of the Rio Grande Valley. The core of our foundation is our small business community, and if we cannot bring the big boys, we can create our own. So we are very focused at UTRGV to being the providers, the supporters of that ecosystem as we continue to build upon all the resources that we're able to provide to you, our small business community and our startup community, moving forward and scaling your businesses. Thank you very much for having us today.
Daniel, thank you very much. I'm Teclo Garcia. I'm the CEO of the Mission Economic Development Corporation. I've been there about 9 months, but previously worked there as Director of Strategic Partnerships and Government Affairs. So not totally new to the mission scene, but I'm glad to be there. I'm glad that my board has me there. Like Marcos, I am a veteran as well. I'm a 6-year veteran of the U.S. Air Force. No URAs or other things needed from the Air Force guys, or like sometimes they would call us the chair force, because all we do is sit down and do stuff, but that's okay. I have a son in the Army who just started up, so I'm sure I'll get plenty of that from him, right? But yes, I think that Mission EDC does all the EDC things that any other economic development corporation does. However, the focus has been, at least for the last 7 years, has been on small business. And we have a variety of programs that focus on small business, entrepreneurship, getting folks off the ground. And you might recognize some of the companies that either started or had major expansions with the Mission EDC that Daniel and Alex Mead know very well, such as Dip It by Pilar, who you can find on HEB's shelves. Jitters, the coffee place in Mission, who has opened up the second location at the Seed building, which unfortunately is only about 30 feet from my office door. So I'm there every day. And then folks like 5x5, who we helped fund at the very beginning, the 5x5 brewing company. And then a company like Brand Genius, who just moved into our building, 11 employees. Their CEO is 25 years old, and they're doing a heck of a job. So that's what we're trying to do on the small business side through a variety of means. And we're trying to build an ecosystem in the building. I say try, we have, but we continue to revamp it and try to evolve with what the businesses want to bring in our building. And we have 27 tenants. They're not all entrepreneurs. We have some nonprofits in there too, but we're trying to get folks to work with each other within our building, small businesses. So sometimes Brand Genius, who's a strategic digital marketing firm, could help the architectural firm, CG5, that has 6 employees in our building. Maybe they need a commercial, or maybe they need some online presence or social media platform presence. And so these businesses are beginning to work with each other, and we use them as well for our purposes. So this is all part of our small business efforts that we're doing there, along with the regular EDC of business attraction and other efforts. But that's kind of who we are at the Mission EDC.
Oh, to be 25 like the CEO of Brand Genius. So through the partnership, we have the opportunity to be able to work with great partners such as UTRGV, Mission EDC, and really all the EDCs across the valley. And everyone serves a very integral part of this team. We are a partnership. We reach out, we incorporate, we include, we facilitate, and because of that, we've had a lot of success here across the valley. Looking at small businesses or minority-owned businesses, there's 1.37 million minority-owned businesses in the state of Texas, making up about 42% of the entire population of businesses in the state. There's 9.7 million businesses in the United States that are minority-owned, which contribute to $700 billion in sales across the nation. So minority-owned businesses, something that we used to say at the EDC is a small business, by the way that the state categorizes small business, as any business under 500 employees. But in the valley, as you saw, we have a large percentage that have under 50 employees. Looking at that 9.7 million, it's spread out. 1.8 million are from California, 1.37 million are here from the state of Texas, and 1.28 are in Florida. As Shelley mentioned a little while ago, 39,000 companies are here in the Rio Grande Valley, and 97% of those have less than 50 employees. So when we look at the makeup of small business and we look at what is the impact and how is the valley growing, it is because of the small businesses. And I'm glad that we're having events like this. I'm glad that you small businesses are here in attendance, because it's definitely going to help us connect with individuals like such as those on our panel. So to get started, our panelists work on a daily basis with small businesses, and they do a lot to help them with assistance. And a lot of times, businesses don't know where to start. They don't know what to ask. So let's get it started with, what are some of the successes? What are some of the assistance, or what is most helpful for the small businesses as they come and reach out to you? Marcus, you can start first.
All right. So, so just to clarify, where is the most helpful aspect when they approach us as partners? Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think the first aspect is, if you're going to be approaching small business as a whole, you got to understand what's your goal, right? So what are you hoping to achieve first off? Okay. And that's many times why we start off with small business training, whether it be the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center here at UTRGV, you know, Centers for Commercialization and Innovation. You got to know where you stand, right? I know that the other saying is, you don't know what you don't know, right? So I would say that the best place to start off with is take advantage of your SBA resource partners, okay? I explained I am with the VBOC. Okay, and you're going to hear me kind of repeat these resource partners, because if anything, you know, you all being a part of the small business community, I want you all to walk away with at least understanding who your point of contact is for helping you all, right? So as I mentioned before, is number one spot I would recommend you start off with is your SBA, your Small Business Administration resource partners, okay? Just a heads up, you know, SBA is actually here right outside the hall, and we just had a ribbon cutting, I think last week, at the Harlingen District Office. Okay, so my recommendation would be start off with your SBA resource partners, speak with an advisor, attend the trainings, get yourself knowledgeable, educated, understand what your goals are. As you set those goals, you can also set expectations for yourself, and you work through those expectations with advisors until you come full circle, achieve, and you might find yourself up here giving the speeches and the testimony, giving back to the community. That being said, you know, we've had success stories. 5x5 is one of the VBOC's first client success stories when they first started off at the Mission EDC. I think a couple months back, we just had Veteran Small Business of the Year, Mr. Daniel Villarreal, I'm not sure if you're here, with Canine Detection Centers. So again, what am I saying here? At least start off with understanding who the point of contact is for your small business administration. Resource partners are attend the trainings, work with an advisor, understand what the expectations and goals are for yourself and your business.
Thank you. Linda?
Well, yes. I think it depends a lot on the vision of each entrepreneur. There's so many resources out there, but the community doesn't know where we are and we're located. So the idea that it's our job, our due diligence, to really put the word out there on what is available to y'all. SBA, of course, has a lot of resources in terms of their Small Business Development Center, their business their Veterans Business Outreach Center, but there's other resources that are even initiated either by private industry or the university. Our center, for example, the center that I run, focuses a lot on entrepreneurial development, that first step. I mean, what are you thinking? Do you have an idea? Do you have a business, concept already in place? Are you still exploring if I want to or don't want to? So there's a lot of programs out there that can support that way of thinking and really help you then identify if you want to go for it or not. One of the big questions that entrepreneurs have is that they think that their product is going to sell. It's going to be the best. I'm going to sell it everywhere. Everybody's going to buy it. But if your tia, your tío, your cousin, your brother buys it, that's not enough. You have to make sure that you do your customer discovery. You have to make sure that you do your research, in terms of where is the demand for what you're offering. So those type of programming is very important. I'm going to do a shout out to one of our programs. So we run the Kaufman Fast Track, which is a program that is at least already kind of well known around the region. It's an entrepreneurial program. It's an introduction to the vision of starting a business or growing a business. It can be for existing or startups. These types of programs really help you identify the gaps that you need to move forward, or if you really want to move forward with the business idea or not. It's a go, no-go situation. And it's not a failure to do a no-go. It's actually a win, because you save time and you save that investment. And you can tweak, you can pivot, you can do so many things. But this type of programming, this type of facilitation really helps you identify what that next step is. Of course, for us at UTRGV, we have a pipeline, to create that synergy between programming and advising. And our advisors at SBDC are well aware that they're that one-on-one to move that point forward after they take a program. So there's a lot of resources out there. We're not the only ones, of course, but there's a lot of resources that can help you identify how much you want to move forward with your business idea, if you're ready to move forward, not just financially, because a lot of us think that finances are the key, and it's really the planning process, the whole planning process from beginning on really identifying the demand, the market, all the way to actually funding the opportunity.
Those are great. Those are really, really good points. Daniel, back during COVID, when a lot of federal money was coming down for small businesses,
Like
et
the
cetera.
CARES program.
Right. Just to share a story, as I was working for the city of Laredo at the time. I was there for 3 years. Felt like 6, but it was 3. I don't know who's from Laredo, but it is a nice town. I really enjoyed it. I did. It was good. But during COVID, we got a lot of federal money, and I know there's a lot of EDC folks here and my friends from the banking world. We were tasked to give out $4 million to small businesses. So we divided it up, said, okay, we're going to give it out in these chunks. We got help from Ufland, who I think is here, and helped us administer that program. And the first, it seems like a couple $1 million went out the door super fast. But after that, we couldn't give it away because people weren't prepared. They didn't have tax records. They didn't have employment records. They didn't know who was working for them, or they did cash only. And so some of you have heard this already and understand this, but I think that part of our responsibility, whether it's UTRGV or whether it's us or South Texas College or SBA, is to work even harder to get the word out on how to get help, right? And where help is located and what we need to do. Because if you're a small business with this idea that you think is golden, well, if you've never had business experience, then you really can't execute that plan. One other quick story, when we were doing Ruby Red Ventures, which we're gonna relaunch again this fall at the Mission EDC, we would bring in, with the help of the SBDC, all the folks who thought they wanted to compete for these funds. And I remember this young guy saying, hey, I want to start a coffee shop / game room, right? And so the SBD counselor said, okay, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Where do you want to locate it? Well, I want to locate it near a college campus. Oh, okay, that sounds good. What about your customer turnover? If people are going to buy coffee and then play games, how are they ever going to move out so you can get new customers to move in and sell more product? And that devastated the young man. He really didn't know the answer to that. But it was a great question to be asked. And I don't think it ever worked out with him, but that's the kind of counseling that UTRGV or an SBA or somebody can bring to you or bring to that person. And I'm so glad Linda brought that up. I mean, and Marcus also brought that up. We need to get folks to the water and get them to drink, right? And then from there we can go forward.
If you're solely jumping into business to make a quick buck, you might not survive, the pandemic or COVID, right? Whereas if you have a passion for what you do, you have the ability to innovate what your product or service is. Because again, it stems from that, that warm-hearted passion that you have to serve. Okay? So I would say before they come to me, really think about what you're attempting to achieve and make sure that when you do come to the table that you have that passion and it's not totally mixed up with, again, making that quick buck and, hey, I'm going to make $1 million the first fiscal year and life is going to be great and, I'll stop by the shop every once in a while and the manager got it from here, you know, and that's kind of why, you know, I started off with my answer getting trained up, because, you know, understanding, you know, what a market analysis is, what an industry analysis is, you know, is there enough demand for what I'm attempting to sell in the region that I'm going to be selling it for, okay? But to come full circle again, have that passion, what it is that you're hoping to achieve. Thank you.
I totally agree. I mean, passion and commitment. You don't understand how many entrepreneurs we see every day or in our programs that the reason they want to start a business is because they want to have time to go on a vacation, or they don't want to work 8 to 5. Well, let me tell you, you're not going to work 8 to 5. You're going to work 24/7, and you're never going to go on a vacation again. You know, so you know it's reality that the reasons, you know, the reasons why some of these entrepreneurs want to start a business, it's unrealistic to the reality of what it is to have a passion and a vision to do something or make a dream come true for them. You know, it's total commitment. It's going to be long hours. You're going to cry, and we tell them you're going to cry. You're going to be, you know, sad and happy and act crazy, but that is the life of an entrepreneur, and it is fantastic if you enjoy it. If you take every moment and see what you're doing is going to make a difference, because every product, even if it's food, or every service, even if it's, you know, cleaning services, makes a difference in this world. You're solving a problem in this world. There is a gap, there is a need. So it is very important that you have that commitment. And yes, if you come see us, have a little bit of, you know, well, at least an idea. But if you don't, we have programs for that too. Just because you want to explore entrepreneurship, there are programs out there that can support that as well. That design thinking kind of methodology. So I think that's you know, one of the key things when somebody comes to our door or joins one of our programs is having that commitment from them, that, you know, and aligning your personal with your professional vision. Number one thing, I mean, you have this personal goals that you have. If they don't align with your professional goals, it's not going to work out. You need to align them correctly to be able to succeed and sustain a business model. So I think for us, that's what we see. I mean, I have companies that we work with in Bronzeville quite a bit. We have an entrepreneur that her vision was to create a healthy style of food, of breads, you know, and she continues to innovate and bring out new products. She hasn't even put one in the market yet, but she's already thinking of the next one. But she has passion, and she doesn't care that at 3 o'clock in the morning, I do. She sends me a text that, Linda, you know, what do you think about this? I'm like, really? I know I have a UTRGV phone, but that doesn't mean you can call me at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, but it's great. It's great to see that. And we embed ourselves in our businesses, in our business, in our customers, in our clients. I mean, really, centers like ours become part of your team. So it's even us. If we don't working in this field, you have to have passion. It's public service, and it's really, we feel like we're making a difference.
I think our general concept of small business, you know, we often think of storefronts or restaurants or a so-called mom and pop shop with a store, but there are so many other small businesses out there now. And again, let me go back to my Laredo times. Was that I remember working with Ufland and asking them what is one of your primary customers for lending the microloans to, and in Laredo it was the truck driver, a self-proprietor, right? They were borrowing about $17,000 a year, and they were funding their business there. Maybe they will buy new tires for their truck, help with fuel costs, or something like that. That was what they did. They didn't have a storefront. You know, there was a lot of tire shops, there was mechanics, and so I think the concept of small businesses, it's incumbent on us to be open to what the small business person coming to us for help is looking to do, and I think we are, but it's just run a range, and it also depends where you are. In Laredo, it was truck driving. I remember going to Austin, Veronica, we were talking to Larry Gonzalez, the state rep, about technology and how we can maybe partner with the Round Rock region and somehow bring some technology aspects to the valley. And he asked us, state rep asked us, well, what kind of businesses are you helping? And we said, well, we primarily help mom and pop shops and other things. And Alex said, well, let me tell you about a chip maker that we're helping. And so Larry, who represents Round Rock, was very interested, and Alex was telling him how we were helping them, and they're in a strip center, and we go there, and he was kind of turning his head like a little puppy, and he was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, how are you building computer chips in Mission in a strip center? And we looked at each other and we said, I'm sorry, these are tortilla chips that we're building, not computer chips. and so Larry said, oh, okay, well, then I really can't help you. but I mean, a lot of these, it depends where you are and what the ideas are and who they're coming from, but they really run the gamut. And we need to be open to that and understand what, as Marcus said, what is it that you want to do? What are you trying to do? But often they're different than what we think they are.
Great examples. We have great examples of businesses all throughout the community. If it's not, Jinx barbecue sauce that's being put on the shelves, if it's not Biology opening a new location, or Delia Tamales taken to San Antonio, we see all of the successes, but we romanticize it. We don't see or hear all of the failures. So what I want to ask the panel is, because it's not just startups, it's businesses that are looking to expand or reboot or pivot. What are some of the failures that you've encountered, and what can we tell businesses that are looking to start up or grow so that they can steer away from that?
All right. So there's several, right? I'll name a few. So first off, man, because I've seen a lot, right? Okay, so I'll start off with what I mentioned earlier, passion, right? So I know it seems kind of cliche when I start off with, hey, yeah, you got to have the passion to start your business, right? But let me tell you why it's important, okay? Because when you're conducting your market analysis and your industry analysis, that's work, right? I still remember when I was working with Mr. Scheidler from the Westlaco Daily Grind, and he was starting his coffee shop, right? And we were going through his, like, okay, well, we got to find out how many customers are going to be purchasing coffee during certain times. Just like, okay, great. Well, how are we going to achieve that? He's like, well, how am I going to do it, Marcus? Well, hold on. Let's kind of think outside the box, as somebody mentioned earlier. Okay, well, let me check out Starbucks, okay? Let me see what the traffic is at Starbucks. And lo and behold, during our next appointment, he comes back out to me and says, well, Marcus, I got the numbers. I was like, okay, cool, man. All right. Just so, we're on the same page, how did we get this done? All right, Marcus, I'm not, don't take this the wrong way, but I staked out Starbucks. So I waited in my car, and what I did was I had a clicker, and I counted every customer that walks in the shop, okay, to get a head count of how many traffic, potential customers are having. And the next step I took was, after I got that pretty reliable traffic count, I went in there and I kind of watched what customers were buying. And I'm like, you know what? That's really smart. But coming back to the passion, do you think, if you're working your regular job and you got to devote that time and effort to finding that information to start off with, somebody who doesn't have that passion is not going to be willing to do that. Okay, so that's one aspect. The other aspect is, when we're putting this business plan together, it's not an easy task, right? So, hey, you know what? We got to go register our legal entity through Secretary of State. So, like, man, you know what? I'm reading all this legal jargon. I don't know what any of it means. Hey, you know what? Let's get your bail team together, right? Your banker, your accountant, your insurance, your legal. Hey, we got to start setting up appointments and meeting with these experts. Hey, you know what, man? I got a family. I got to pick up my kids after school. I got this going on in my job. We just had a flood the other day, and it's just like, man, hey, no problem. I got it. Life happens. But again, it's the passion that's going to see you through getting the job done. And it doesn't even stop there. When you meet with a lender during the lenders panel, they'll tell you. I mean, for anybody who's applied for, what'd you say, a home mortgage, right? It's a process, right? So imagine going through every trial of business ownership and then submitting that application for lenders. It's just like, hey, we need your bank statements. You get kickback for, this, that, or the other. We have to see it through, okay? So what's going to ultimately see it through? It's going to be again, your passion. Okay, so that's one aspect that I would choose to expand on. I would say the next greatest one is going to be funding, right? So everybody has a great idea, but one of the things we always discuss in our training is going to be equity injection, right? Having skin in the game, all right? So you can have the greatest idea possible, but if you can't acquire any investors or lenders, or you don't have any skin in the game, it's going to be very hard, okay? So in that aspect, make sure that your finances are in order, not only through the business model, but through the economic model as well, okay? And I'll save some thunder for Linda here.
He's right. I mean, the commitment, the level of the effort that you put into the business really becomes, the outcome of, the success that you have. In our case, we've seen life happen, and that's okay, because life does happen, and you sometimes have to put a stop. As long as you're aware that that stop is temporary and that your passion continues, you can totally move forward with that idea at a later date. We, in our centers, we usually go at the pace of the entrepreneur. We want to make sure that they understand that we will support them as much as we can based on their pace, because we do understand life happens. Failures that we have seen, and they're not failures, because I don't see failures as something bad, but just, a sidetrack on their business or their entrepreneurship journey. So it's more on the side of lack of planning. In our case, funding, the planning comes first, and then you look at all those funding options. We, in our center, we're very most proponents of seed funds, competitions, get yourself out there, test what you're trying to do. If you get some free money on the way, why not? Use that to continue the development of your business, like Ruby Ventures, like Startup Texas in Brownsville. Those are great platforms for entrepreneurs to continue testing what they're developing. So for us, the lack of planning sometimes kind of puts those bumps into then continuing forward and being successful. And what I mean by planning is everything. Not just the research, is the organization, the team, who's behind you. Sometimes we wear all the hats at first, but eventually you have to delegate. You have to let it go. And that's very hard for an entrepreneur or business owner that has been running their business by themselves for a very long time. So it's taking those steps, that planning process, to make it your plan more solid or your strategy more solid to continue then scaling or creating or starting the business, and then the funding comes in. What are your options? Is a small business loan the best option? It's investment if you're doing tech or manufacturing, or is it just traditional convention, what we call quality of life ventures? So it's a lot of mixed different things that can not necessarily make you fail, but put a little bit of a bump in the process. But definitely, if you get the proper resources and the proper help and assistance and support that does exist out there, you can overcome those barriers so you can continue with that success.
I don't think there's a doubt that there's enough help out there. You look at some of the programs that we've talked about here, UTRGV and their whole plethora of programs. Most EDCs, FAR, Edinburgh, Mission, McAllen, et cetera, have small business assistance programs. The SBDC is a wonderful source. You have SBA, you have veterans programs, you have state, you have microlenders out there, CDFIs, all kind of ways for folks to get help and counseling. I'm not saying we have enough, we could always do more, right? But there's plenty of help, I think, out there for folks to get to. It's the access part. I think that also the vast majority of small businesses in the Valley don't get help, and many are successful on their own. I mean, we can name many businesses. I always think, when I pass by small businesses that are really successful, I think, I wonder if they actually got help, or they were just good on their own, they figured it out, or it got passed on by a family member. You have a lot of immigrants who start businesses, whether they're from Mexico or Africa or Europe, in the Valley and in Texas. One of my favorites to think about every time I pass by is this place in Donna called Pollo Asados El Tío Roy. Like, that name does not make any marketing sense whatsoever, right? It's long, it's complicated, it's kind of backward, but it's packed. And you go online and it's highly rated. And somehow this guy is making a living. I'm not sure how successful he is. We don't know his books. I don't know how much money he's making, but he's successful. So Tío Roy is doing something right, and he probably did not get help. But could he be more successful if he had? Or if he comes now and wants to expand, could he get help? There's plenty of folks that don't make it. There's a lot of reasons why. I think for us at the EDC is we're not just doing financial assistance, and it's just to help a business. I mean, there's plenty that we've helped that didn't work out. But for us, it's more of encouraging the entrepreneurial spirit. It's keeping that alive. It's also letting people know that a place like Mission is a place for small businesses. The last 2 months, our retail sales taxes receipts have gone up 17 and 18% for July and August. We haven't had any new big box stores open up. We haven't had any other major event that would cause those numbers to go up 18%. But why did they go up? Well, we know we have small businesses in town, and somebody's doing something right. But back to Daniel's question is, we could probably be doing better if more small businesses received help and the right counseling, whether it be through us or through a bank or through any one of these programs. I think we could do better.
Thank you, Teclo. Yes.
So just to add, we were just having a side, one of the things that I think it's also important for the success is being coachable. And not just from advisors or from, or from anybody that's giving you support, but even from your mentors or whoever is trying to support you. We have had the experience of having businesses that, we give them recommendations, we give them the support they need, and it's like, no, I'm still gonna do it. No, me vale, no. So, and I was like, go for it. A year later, they're at the door, But you have to be able to be coachable, to be able to, for us to give you and support you, or anybody that wants to support you, give you a little bit of their, maybe, expertise that they have, if it's a lawyer, accountant, an advisor, or anybody that's a mentor. So I think one of the key things that I forgot to mention.
Yeah, being coachable is important. So next week, the Rio Grande Valley Partnership is going to be hosting an economic summit. It's going to be at Bird Ogden Arena. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. You all have been doing the talking. I'm getting tongue-tied. But we're having an economic summit at the Bird Ogden Arena from 10 a.m. to 12. One of the things that the Valley has come to terms with is that we need to work regionally. We need to be resourceful with all of our community assets. The partnership will be taking the step as being the economic development marketing entity, outward-facing, for the region, and bringing all those resources together to, that means I need to be quiet, bringing all the resources together so that way we can promote the region. The last question that I have, because you all offer a lot of programs, but a lot of times businesses come in and they think, well, I just need access to funding. I just need access to money. What are the ways can they be resourceful? And one, I'll kind of lead you with, utilizing other established businesses that are in the area. What is your advice to that? Should they, because a lot of times they want to be, proprietary, and I can't talk about it, but what's your experience? Teclo, you can go first.
Yeah, let me just jump in and make the answer quick. There's a lot of, and let's be real for a second. There's a lot of small businesses, or pardon me, people who have ideas for a small business that think that money comes easy. You just got to tell them. That's not the way it happens. Go to a bank and ask them the same question you're asking me. EDCs, they come to us and they say, oh, well, you have money. Yeah, we have money, but we're guardians of public money, and we're going to treat that kind of like a bank does their money. We're not just going to give it away, right? You have to have a cause. You have to have your paperwork ready. You have to have the right counseling in order for us to help you. We want you in our city, but how many jobs are you going to create? Who have you been talking to? Have you received the right counseling? Do you have a sound idea? Have you been to the SBDC? Those who want expansions, similar. Although we like to see a track record. We want to see what they've done. I mean, this is when you can help them, and don't have to be rude about it for us, but get them to understand what is real in the real world. That you're going to have to go through steps to qualify to get funding. But at the same time, as many small business advocates will tell you, talk to family members, talk to mentors, talk to other ways where you can find funding that you might be able to handle. It's not just always one way, but you have to understand the processes. And if you don't, then you're not going to be successful in your small business, because once you get rolling, the IRS is not going to give you a pass, okay? The bank you may borrow money from, they're not going to give you a pass. You have to understand that up front.
I think mentorship is extremely important in all sense of business planning and business development. And mentorship can come in so many different ways. How do you get our programs? A lot of them do offer mentor, and that comes from our success stories that we have with other entrepreneurs, or even the ones that don't have success, but have those challenges that have overcome. They're great mentors to other businesses. We do a lot of peer-to-peer type of interaction between our clients and our networks, because we see how important mentorship is all along the way. And you never know. We have had accelerator programs where business A and business B do similar, they partner, and now they're a bigger company together. So those kind of synergies, those kind of partnerships do happen based on those kind of mentorship events. Now, there's a lot of mentor programs out there. But one of the best ways that we have seen companies come together and talk is through our EDC events, our chamber events. Go network. Networking is key when it comes to learning about other businesses and learning about other resources. So we rely a lot on partnerships. Our centers cannot do it alone. We are not here alone. And my center in particular provides, we get a lot of support from our EDCs throughout the entire region. We work with Teclo, we work with, everybody around the region, with FAR, with McAllen, with, Brownsville, with Harlingen, San Benito. But our idea is that if we partner, we can reach more entrepreneurs. We can reach more small businesses. And we do a lot of network events for the reason that we really, truly believe that putting people together, that's where the magic happens. So talk to your chambers and EDCs about networking events.
All right. So I'm sure everybody's taking this all in. It's just like, man, Marcus talks about all these resources. We've heard about the EDC. We've heard about the CIC, ECC. Perdón. But, and it's very easy to get kind of lost in where you should start, right? And it happens to everybody. I understand that. But every program has their own, how would you say, value proposition. There's going to be a singular benefit that you can take from each and every program. So for those of you wondering, oh my gosh, Marcus, this is kind of I feel like I'm being blown away through a fire hose here. Where do I start? Okay, just get with an advisor. I can tell you, we all know each other. We know what the capabilities of the EDC are. We know what the capabilities of the ECC are. We know what the capabilities of the SBDC is, the SCORE, Women's Business Center, the SBA, how each and every program can help. So what am I getting at here? Just get yourself with an advisor. Take that first step, right? I can address another portion, which is some clients are just like they overanalyze the situation and they fail to take that first step, right? So part of being an entrepreneur is managing risk, okay? That's where we come in, okay? As Linda mentioned, mentorship, okay? Just get with an advisor. We're like family. She's like my favorite aunt, right?
What?
But but
You're not my favorite nephew.
but as I mentioned before, just get with an advisor. You know, I mean, just having that initial conversation. You know, hey, this is where I'm at. We will meet you where you are and guide you to the right place. Hey, yeah, you know what? We need funding. Hey, that's great. Do you have a business plan? No. Hey, you know what? This organization would be the right fit based off of what you're telling me, right? So what am I saying here? You have all these resources. Get with an advisor. Take that first step. You know, let us evaluate what your potential is, where you are in the entrepreneurial process, so that way we can take you to the next step. Okay, that's really my message. The other point that I want to make is, you know, being with these organizations, I'm talking to small business owners here. One of the organizations that helps, you know, being experienced small business owners and kind of, how would you say, helping out new business owners is going to be the SCORE mentorship program. Okay. So for those of you who want to go that extra mile, you know, maybe you've made it as a small business owner, you've scaled, you've done really well, you want to turn back around and help the community, get involved in SCORE. There's a lot of talented, passionate individuals that are out there that want to give back, and we can really use the help in SCORE. So with that being said, again, take advantage of your resource partners, start that initial conversation, and, you know, kind of give back, and so everybody climbs that ladder together.
Marcus, Linda, Teclo, I want to thank you for the information that you provided us. I know we're already done with time. They will be here for a little while longer, so if anybody has any questions, you can reach out to them. But thank you for taking the first step of being here, looking for what resources available, and thank you.